Hello, my name is Heather Hall, and I'm the Intergovernmental Ocean Policy Manager for the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife. Today is March 14th, 2023, and it is now 9:15 a.m. We are conducting this meeting remotely using Zoom. The purpose of the meeting is to provide a public hearing on a proposed amendment to state rules that would allow commercial landings of dressed rockfish if authorized by obtaining a permit from WDFW. Corey Niles, Coastal Marine Policy Lead, and Whitney Roberts, Marine Policy Analyst, are here to brief the public on the topic before we take public comments. If you would like to testify, please raise your hand, and after the briefing, we'll take your testimony in the order that you raise your hand. We will limit each person's comment period to 5 minutes. Following public testimony, staff will answer questions. Thank you. Okay, so I will run through the briefing, maybe just kicking it off, and then Whitney, if you want to provide the overview, that would be great. So again, this is the public hearing to consider the proposed changes that would allow dressed rockfish landings through a permit issued by the director. Let's see. There you go, Whitney.
Sure. Thanks, Heather. This is Whitney Roberts. And as Heather pointed out, the proposal in this rulemaking is to allow landings of rockfish in the dressed head-on condition rather than the currently required whole or round condition. And vessels wishing to do so would need to obtain a permit at the discretion of the director. And vessels would also need to reapply for that permit each fishing season. And the department will let fishery participants know when the permits for 2023 are available. Currently, rules, as I said, require that all landings into Washington ports be landed in the whole or round condition, with the exception of sablefish, halibut, and lingcod and salmon. And this rulemaking change would expand that list to include rockfishes, all rockfish species. As we're going through the rulemaking process right now, the rule change to create this allowance will likely be effective roughly mid-April to early May. And since it is a permit, there will be terms and conditions, and those terms and conditions will be tailored to ensure that the agency is still able to collect the biological data that we need for stock assessments, including age, sex of the fish, and length and weight. And that includes potentially requiring a specialized cut of the fish that allows port samplers to continue determining the sex of the fish. We're also developing a weight conversion factor that would be applied for converting dressed rockfish to round weight. And because this is a new allowance, it's difficult for the agency at this time to assess how wide the interest and scope of participation in this permit will be. And so we're going to evaluate the level of participation and determine in the future if limits need to be set to maintain the collection of biological data that we need, or to ensure that it doesn't create a new fishery. And lastly, right now, this is a permit approach because it allows the department the flexibility to adjust as the participation and effort or use of the permit grows and markets grow. But in the future, we may will likely reevaluate that permit approach and determine the next steps, whether that is continuing with a permit approach, making that change into regulation or some other step. And so with that, that's the overview, and I'll kick it to Corey in case he has anything else to add to that.
No, thanks, Whitney. Nothing to add.
Okay, thanks, Whitney and Corey. So for the purposes of the recording, I'll just note that there are no members of the public that have joined the meeting. We delayed starting the meeting until 9:15. The meeting was originally scheduled for 9 o'clock. And we will stand by for a few minutes and see if anybody from the public joins us and has any questions or comments.